I'm the biggest wrestling. Every wrestler's gonna say they're the biggest wrestling fan growing up, and if I'm a fan watching and I hear them say that, I hope it's true. With me, it's legitimately true. I could read in the WoW magazine, the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, you name it, I had it, I owned it. That had anything to do with professional wrestling. VHS tapes, the whole works. The LJN figures, the cards, you name it. Again, though, I really wanted to meet Vince McMahon to figure out, hear from the horse's mouth, what is it that someone like me with zero training has got to do to get in the business and not get, kind of screwed over the way I did the first time around, Tom Pritchard. Also put me in contact with Kevin Kelly at the time, who helped me a lot as well. Kevin Kelly was another great person that helped me. From my perspective and how I was treated, nobody there kissed my ass. No one there was like, wow, he's so big, he's automatically going to make it. If anything, I think I got it rougher because of that. I think Al was a lot tougher on me because of that.
Like they wanted to test you, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and Bob too, to a degree, was pretty damn. Honestly, that Bob was pretty cool. Basically, they push you until you puke, and then you go somewhere and you puke. You just keep going until you keep puking and puking and puking. And that's what the show really, to a degree, a lot of it was to keep pushing our buttons and keep pushing our buttons. Let's not get it twisted. I was 100% signed on Potential.
Right.
So are those guys. But let's be very clear. So are those guys from the Independents as well. Mm-hmm. Don't think for one second when WWE signs a guy from Independent, are they going, okay, he's ready, we're putting him in right now.
Yeah.
No, they've got to go. No matter how much experience you have, you've got to go through that WWE.
The system.
Yeah, training and the way that they want you to work. Nova, tons of years of experience. One of my best friends. He had to do the same thing. He had to do the same drills that I did. Yeah. And if you ask him to this day, did it help him? He'll say, yeah. I remember right before getting called up, Dave Lagana pulled me. They came down to OVW, the creative team, to evaluate us, and he pulled me into the TV, one of our TV watching. We watched the VHS tapes of ourselves room, I guess you would call it, TV room, right? Film room, sorry. And Dave Lagana pulled me in there, and he sat down and he told me real quick. He's like, look, we're thinking of calling you up, and I was really pumped, obviously. Mm-hmm. And he's like, just. You're gonna. I assure you, you're gonna have some people that are gonna say you're not ready and all this other stuff, and obviously you're not. You've been doing this for what, 6-7 months total, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, who we're gonna pair you with though? Basically it's like having training wheels, and a safety net, and most importantly, I'll have the best people to be learning from when I get called up there. They first performed me and Nathan together with Paul Heyman. That night we came out and debuted on SmackDown. Earlier that night, I just met Brock. I met Brock previously in OVW once or twice, I believe. But I remember him saying to me, anything you need, let me know. Don't be scared to ask questions. Anything you need, ask. And I thought that was pretty cool. And I definitely think that's through the Danny Davis OVW connection. I was one of Danny's boys, and so was Brock. If you showed him respect, he'd give it back to you. I thought he was extremely humble, to be honest. For a man of his magnitude, what a big star he was. He was being prepped to be the future world champion in another couple months' time, I want to say, come WrestleMania 20, right? So you could see it was starting to be evident what they were doing with him. They were putting him through the rigors at that time where he'd have to go through all of Team Lesnar one by one, right? Starting with me and Nathan, and then working its way through Big Show, and then I guess Brock. But he was so humble, though. I was really blown away by what, a lot of them, the bigger the star they were, like The Rock even, Stone Cold, the more humble they were, the more cool to you they were, I thought. And Benoit was a guy who demands you to be intense with him in that ring. Like, he came down to OVW. Here's how humble he is, how much he used to give back to the business. So with Nathan, you could see him building and seething, if any of the guys ever screwed with him mentally, they didn't even screw with him, like make a joke here and there. I didn't think it was a big deal. They do it to me too. And it's nothing that I didn't go through playing ball. It's like the rites of passage. These are guys this is their weird way of getting to know you. It's like it's a camaraderie builder, and it is really what it is. I never took it as, oh my God, these guys hate me, poor me, their life sucks. Dude, we're in WWE, we're on the road, this is great. So I got to put up with a couple of veterans that might rib you or do a couple things. So what? This is nothing. This compared to what I did in school, got dealt with in school. Hell, I'll never forget this. And Mom, these dudes, it took the whole team to do this because I was the last freshman to got for initiations where they tie your butt down naked. Nathan Jones, you really think Nathan Jones is this guy was in solitary confinement. Right. You really think Nathan Jones is going to go, cellmate, I'm having some issues with your lady at home. Any advice?
Right.
That ain't Nathan, no way.
Yeah.
This is a guy that rips people's heads off and shits down their neck. In real life, he had a ring, Johnny Ace told me to go. Vince wanted to talk to me. And he's like, I'm just preparing you now. He's got this great idea for you. He goes, I know you're probably not going to like it. My advice to you is shut up and take it. Because again, anything that, you know, he puts a stamp on is generally going to be gold. You know, it's going to be something that gets pushed. Absolutely not. I don't think anybody knew about it because again, I wasn't waving it in people's faces. I wasn't going up to people and going through their bags and stealing it or begging for it or paying for it from any of the boys. Very rarely that, you know, the boys would ever see me use nothing, you know, abuse them. They may have seen me take one or two, but that was kind of commonplace back then. You know, it wasn't like I was chewing on them like Pez like I really did behind the scenes, you know, in real life, in front of people. No one ever saw that.
Right.
You know, and in fact, when it was time for me to come out, I shocked a lot of people that I've worked with in the past that I had an addiction. I need to have the shit scared out of me, okay? Because the next step for me is jail. You know, I felt like I was getting to a point where if I was running out of pills, that maybe the next step was I start writing fake scripts. I don't know, but I felt it coming. I definitely did. And I'm glad I acted on it when I did, and I begged my wife to find a good rehab, or a detox center where, like I said, it was like not nice but crappy. And sure enough, she found one. It's called the Center for Drug Free Living in Orlando, Florida, where we had lived. The main part of this story of me being clean was the hardest work of all, which is what do I do once I get out of this highly structured setting of a detox or rehab facility, right? Where it's easy not to use because you can't have it. It's not there to use. What am I going to do when I'm in the streets and I can have access to it from my gym or my tennis salon or my friends or whatever, doctors more importantly, that still would give it to me, right? How am I going to get by doing that now, right? So I took a lot of the tools they gave me in there, but I learned a lot more tools when I got set up with my outpatient treatment with my addiction doctor. I don't care what anybody says about anybody. Jim Cornette was like a father figure to me, first and foremost, right? And he had beef with, obviously, Vince Russo over the years, right? And, you know, with that, one would think that I would follow suit, you know? There's not many more influential people in my career than Jim Cornette early on like that, right? But with me, no matter what, you know, it doesn't mean I don't love Jim Cornette because of that, because I like Vince Russo. You know, I like people of how I know them and how they deal with me and how I interact, they interact back to me. I think he is a huge, huge star. As far as if I'm a fan and I'm paying money to see people, I'm drawn into James Storm's character. Bobby Roode, similar thing. But with Bobby, he's one of the best workers I've ever been in the ring with. He along with Dolph Ziggler, in my opinion, are the best bumping, feeding heels in the business today. The hardest workers in that ring is telling a story, and they both, with Bobby gets it. His job is to go out there and he not just gets himself over, he gets his opponent, every single opponent over that he's in that ring with, no matter what the event is. 6-man tag team singles, you can be assured if you put anybody in the ring with Bobby Roode, he's going to shine that guy up and make him look like $1 million, plus him as well. The Mafia was a group together that would put together of former world heavyweight champions. Sting, Booker T, Scott Steiner, Kevin Nash, Kurt Angle, and Stinger, if I didn't say him already.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, it's a who's who in pro wrestling. He was walking through, you look like you're going through the motions out there. You're an intense 7-foot giant. Be one, damn it. You know, and he really ripped into me. And it really resonated because I respect the shit out of him.
Yeah.
I'm changing in the room with him. I'm on the car. I would take rides with him on the road for house shows. This guy I respect the shit out of. Anything he says to me is gold. Ric Flair will go down as the greatest wrestler ever. You know, we're never, you know, so had some really cool opportunities. And Ric Flair was a huge advocate of mine, still to this day, big believer in me. I cannot thank that man enough for taking me under his wing. I love him to death. This big jacked up kid coming in, right, and getting the opportunity that I was getting. People can be like, oh, he was given that, and I'm coming in with this giant fluorescent green target on my back.
Yeah.
I mean, Helen Keller could have picked me off, right? So that target was so big on my back. So, you know, yeah, as far as walking on eggshells, like how to handle yourself politically, do I, you know, do this, do I not say this, am I talking too much, am I asking him for advice too much, to where they're wondering if I don't know what the hell I'm doing because I'm asking for advice too much. You know, so many mind games can happen, and it could do a number on you if you're not mentally tough enough. But I was so young, you know, I didn't understand how to play the politics and all that other stuff because I'm an athlete, right, first and foremost, right? So I came from the school of thought of, look, if this is basketball and I come out and I light that team up for 30 points off the bench, my ass better be starting the next game. It was a pretty uphill task to be the baby face versus Jeff Hardy. I'm sorry, it just is. The idea was Hulk Hogan's the Babe Ruth of professional freaking wrestling. He's this big, he's what, the 5th or 10th most recognizable name in the world or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's supposed to be bringing huge brand recognition to our product, right?
Yeah.
That was a great sign. And another guy I love to death and know him personally and friends with him and met him on American Gladiators and a huge fan of mine, a big advocate of mine. Hulk's opinion was to you keep building me and building me and building me as this monster, you know. But I think because he wasn't in the creative team now, remember that Hulk's not sitting there in creative meetings.
Right.
That's not his job, you know. But they would definitely. It's Hulk Hogan. They respect his opinion enough, you know. So I think there was like a pull and push with that, and I think that's what you started to see with my character toward the end with me at TNA, is where Hulk would have this certain image and idea for me to do something, you know, how I should be portrayed, and we would go in that direction for like a week or two, and then creative would have me back to doing what I think they would want me to be doing. You know, I think it was this push and pull. Eric is a very, I respect the shit out of him for this. He's a very upfront, and he doesn't believe in bullshit, blown smoke. You know, if he didn't like something, he's gonna tell it to you. I love that. I've always loved that because I hate smoke blowers. Good job, Matt. Good job. I don't know those are shits. Yeah, after I walk away, I want to hear the truth. Tell me if that shit sucked.
Yeah.
Tell me what I can do to improve. I'll take that 10 out of 10 times than the guy who's too pussy to tell me the truth. You know, here's something nobody knows. That was 100% of work, and I was under contract the entire time. Well, Sting, you know, again, is another legend. God, I respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I thought they could have built more toward that match, you know. But again, they could have maybe built more to, you know, anytime anybody works Sting, it should be built toward a little bit more than what ours was. Ours was thrown together with 1 week's heads up. I'm a big believer of that. Let me be clear about that. I believe, guys, it's starting to become, I'm not saying it's like some art to go to the gym and work out and get big or look like an athlete, but to a degree, it's a missing ingredient, I think, in today's wrestling. I think we're getting away from, you know, I'm not saying they have to look like a walk-in action figure, but, you know, an overly roided out, I think that's a little disbelievable, and it's a piss poor example we're setting for kids out there. But at the same time, I think you should look like you can kick someone's ass. Thinking about it from a fan's perspective, especially as I got older and more mature and figured out who the hell Matt Morgan was, the man, and not that immature asshole that I was younger in my career, you know, from 02, I'd say, to 05, 06, you know, and getting finally sober and beating that. And I think once I figured all that out and figured out who I was, then I was able to really look at this business the right way and look at it from your guys' perspective, and realizing that none of this happens, not a single ounce of this. I don't make a penny if it's not for the fans, obviously. And I've had I still do, some of the best fans in the world.